Hi. Imagine all the normal elements that you'd expect in a marketing plan and then do 5 things to them. Separate your acquisition from your retention. The messages and the strategy is different, so it matters. Next, put your buyer in the centre of that. That is, identify the problem that you're trying to solve for the market and who has that problem. Put your buyer at the centre. Third, separate your strategy and tactics. We get very confused about articulating the two together. They are separate. Strategy sets the foundation. Tactics are what you do to the market, so separate them. 4, put velocity in the middle. You can't shape your tactics until you know what velocity you're trying to achieve. So strategy, then velocity, then tactics. And finally, don't summarise a really long document with a beautiful executive summary. Write it short from the get-go. No one reads the long form, so write it short form. 1 page if you can. Here's what your marketing plan needs to include. Objectives, the buyer's problem, your strategy, which becomes the target market is whoever most has the problem. Your solution is whatever best solves the problem. Your channel is whoever can best flush out that problem for this target market. And your tactics that describe how you'll find the names, position with them, gain their interest, trouble them, shape their need, make a compelling offer to meet that need, gain their preference to your offer over others, and finally earn a decision. Then we need to add tactics to recycle those who don't progress, that is, they leak from the funnel. Let me show you those 5 articles and how we reach those conclusions now. So our first article is, why do I need a marketing plan? And it's from the business.gov.au, that's the Australian government's business website, and it's pretty basic. Really, frankly, anyone listening to this show already knows why they need a marketing plan, so let me not waste your time, move on. Next one is now coming up. Next one is from the Victorian government, one of the states of Australia. Write a marketing plan. Look, it's a good starting point. The conclusions are that you need to include background analysis, marketing objectives, marketing strategy and marketing mix, which this time they got right. In a recent show I quoted the same source and they talked about marketing mix as tactics. It's not. Actions, plans and budgets, organisation implications, an evaluation and monitoring plan, very good suggestion, and a summary of your plan and supporting documentation. So they're all good. They're pretty basic, but no, I have no issue with any of those. Let's go to number 3. So this is Dave Levinsky, back to the top. So Dave's is a good article.
It's a combination of one, the product, but
he's worked before and reviewed it and found it equally useful. What he leads to is a very straightforward explanation of the things that you need to include in your marketing plan and a bit of detail on what to put in there. Of the articles, this is the one that I'm going to recommend that you have a read of, take a look at it. You'll see at the end of the show that I'm arguing some changes to it, but frankly, it's a good starting point, so give it a read. Article 4, write and implement a marketing plan from now the Queensland government. This is just awful. It's big on analysis and small on action. Looks like the sort of thing that a government would find really attractive. Forgive me, guys. Grew up in Queensland, but this is just awful. The details that they do recommend, again, are very big on analysis and very small on action, and I think that's not what you should have in an industry plan, in a marketing plan at all. And then finally, would you believe, this one came up only because it was the most shared article according to BuzzSumo. It was shared, let me get the stats here, nearly 20,000 times on Facebook. So obviously very popular, specifically about how to market your cannabis brand. Title's funny, article's not, it's quite serious. And frankly, for you guys, a B2B audience, it's not that relevant. So whilst funny, I'm going to skip it. Well, as usual, I'll give you my spin on this shortly, but let's first honour the contributions from those 5 authors. All but Dave Levinsky's articles are light and not written by marketers worth their salt in my, I was going to say my humble opinion, but that's pretty rude. I just think Dave Levinsky's article is great and the others are not. So let's just concede defeat and offer Dave's list. You need an executive summary, target customers, your USP, your pricing and positioning strategy, your distribution plan, your offer or offers, marketing materials, promotion strategy, online marketing strategy, conversion strategy, joint ventures and partnerships, referral strategy, your strategy for increasing transaction prices like that, your retention strategy, and your financial projections. Well, as good as Dave's list is, I think we need to change that in 5 ways. Firstly, I want to see acquisition and retention separated. Now, I understand the argument for a full kind of life cycle type plan. There's a good argument for doing that. But the messaging is so fundamentally different for those two use cases that I think they need to be separated. One of my customers uses the language of land and expand, and I've adopted that language, and I think it makes good sense. Earn the right to serve once, and then earn the right to serve again and again and again and build a deeper relationship. So let's see those split. Secondly, after you've split them, let's put the buyer at the centre of this. Most marketing plans talk about what I want to do and who I want to do it to, and that's irrelevant. It's all about the buyer. So put the buyer at the centre by identifying the problem that they have, and then who most has that problem, that's your new target market, what fully solves the problem, that's your new solution. Put the buyer at the centre of that strategy. Third, I want to see strategy and tactics separated. Now, this is, maybe it's a finicky little detail, but what happens frequently in a marketing plan is we interchange big strategic things that are largely set and change infrequently, maybe once a year change, and tactics which we're executing on a daily and weekly basis. I want to see them separated, and in the separating of them, fourth thing, I want to see velocity inserted in the middle. So that is strategy, the velocity that I need to generate, then the tactics. Why? Because the tactics that make sense for one velocity just don't make sense for another. So I need to know the velocity first. Then the tactics. And finally, rather than synthesize this great plan into a beautiful executive summary where people are going to read the executive summary and they can refer to the details later, guess what? They'll never refer to the details, so don't write it. Force yourself to consolidate your thinking, get it down to the shortest form you can, and I think, I'd argue strongly, get it onto a single page. The maxim we use is if you can't say it on one page, you probably don't understand it yourself. So keep working until you can get it down to one page. I'll show you shortly a one-page plan and what that really looks like. So the list becomes objectives, the buyer's problem, the strategy implied by that buyer's problem, that is the target market is whoever most has the problem, the solution is whatever best solves it, and the channel is whoever can best flush out that problem from this target market. And the tactics describe how we'll find names, position with them, gain their interest, trouble them, shape their need, make a compelling offer, and you know where I'm going, it's the buyer's journey here. Make a compelling offer, gain preference, and finally earn a decision. Tactics then finally to recycle those that don't progress. That needs to be in your marketing plan as well. Let me show you just very briefly how we do this in Funnel Plan. I don't intend this to be a pitch, but to try to explain the way we turn what I just said into a simple one-page plan. The essence is that the plan should describe your objectives, your strategy from a buyer's perspective, the velocity and the tactics. I'm going to go briefly through each of these. This is a visual representation of the plan. It's also the navigation metaphor in Funnel Plan. Now the version that I've logged into or I've opened up for you is actually in free mode, meaning this is what you get in the free plan. But the way we've done it is it actually shows the things that you get in the advanced mode when you pay. So I can show you the high level, which you get in free, as well as the detailed version that you get in the paid for version. By the way, paid for version is a very small amount of money every month. So whether you choose to use this or not won't be a reflection on price, rather whether you like the methodology or not. So objectives, simply put in the first instance, what's the dollar value of your 3-year sales target? How many deals will that take? Because that's how we work out the average deal size. And what kind of growth curve are you on? In this case, 100% growth curve, so it's a very steep curve. Most mature businesses will be on much lower growth curves year on year. Just 3 questions. In the advanced version, of course, we can break that down in a far more granular way and recognise that price may change over time. Now, what problems are you solving? Again, in the free version, we're going to see a lot less. In the advanced version, a little more. But essentially, think of all the problems that you can solve and choose one. Now, in the free version, that's it. In the advanced version, we invite you to get input from colleagues on a number of factors, in fact 10 that lead to these 3 summarised ones. We summarise the view and then we form a view about what the chosen problem should be. So difference being collegiate input. Now, target market, as you know, is who most has the problem, and so we can describe them broadly and then what segments will we find them in. And so in this case, we've got just one segment. What's the type, the business type, and what role within that business type? How much of our attention are we going to give to that market? And if we had multiple segments, we'd have multiple shown here. How mature are they? And therefore, how much spend should you allocate in each of 3 marketing types? All of that, including help videos to explain what each of these mean, are in the advanced version. The free version asks a simpler question: describe your ideal customer. Think about the problem though. In solution, same thing. Essentially, we want to know what they need, but in a free version, just what are you going to sell? What are you going to sell to solve that problem? Channel's interesting. We go quite a bit deeper in the advanced version compared to the free version. In the free version, who can best uncover the problem? Fairly straightforward question, but do think about both your direct and your indirect, as well as your referrers. And then finally, some Salesforce analysis. How many salespeople will we have? How many meetings per week do we expect them to have? In this case, I've got silly numbers in because I was just testing something out before, and then calculate the utilisation. I can't do any of that in the free version. I can in the paid version. In the free version, just describe your channel. Competition, again, in the free version, it invites me to simply describe how I'm going to leverage my strengths and mitigate my weaknesses, normal SWOT-ish stuff. But in the paid version, some detailed analysis on 5 factors of each of my 5 most wicked competitors. Now, velocity, kind of key, as I just argued. In velocity, again, free versus paid. Free, we ask some very simple questions. How many weeks does it take to win a deal? Bottom one is, how many meetings does that take? And again, I've got silly numbers here. There aren't many who take 28 meetings to get 1 deal. I was mucking around with something earlier. How many of our leads will become proposals, and how many of our proposals will become sales? Fairly straightforward questions to which most know the answer. In the paid version, you can break those down far more granularly. So let me just choose one of those weeks taken. For sure it takes 44 weeks, but where are those weeks spent? And that has a material impact on the velocity, which in the paid version you can calculate, and it'll tell you how many buyers you need at each stage for you to meet the objectives that you set for this plan. Finally, or in fact almost finally, is tactics. I'll show you the PDF in a sec. This takes about 15-ish seconds to load because it's pulling in a lot of tactics that this particular plan has, plus all of the interconnections and a lot of other data. So what tactics we'll use in the free version? You don't get to edit the tactics. You choose a template and the tactics are pre-populated, which is, by the way, not bad, but in the paid version you can edit every one of these tactics, put them into we call them tags, but they're like groups of tactics, inbound versus outbound, or priority versus low priority, the type of tactic, and a bit of history on who's changed them for every stage in the journey, including, there's a visual version of the same thing. I can open up the visual version and I can reorder my tactics, just to show you that briefly. Silly me, I'm in the free version. I just clicked reorder tactics, I can't go into it. So in the paid version, you can visually represent those tactics and you can move them around on the buyer's journey. We're in the free version, I can't do that. And also, not just connections, I go down the bottom here, recycling tactics. What tactics will I use to get buyers back into the funnel when I fail? All of that advanced functionality in the free version, no tactics that you can edit, but you do get to choose which template you want to use, and therefore all of those 50, 60, 100 maybe tactics will honour that. The type of buyer that you think you're serving. And finally then, click PDF to generate the PDF. What that does is it turns the whole plan, everything we've just gone through, into a one-page plan. So your objectives, your strategy, your velocity, and your tactics in a single one-page plan. Now, the friendly that help says it takes several minutes. It doesn't. It takes about 35 seconds. Just while that's loading, let me just mention that this little chevron diagram here is the help center. At any point in the funnel plan, in both the free and the paid version, click the help center and you get videos and text details for everything that's being asked to help guide you through. Finally then, the PDF. In this case I've got rubbish text because I was just playing around with it before, as you know, but it takes your objectives, the problems that you thought about and the one that you chose, the strategy that you've adopted, including your segments, how mature they are, your competitive analysis and what you're going to do about that competitive analysis, your velocity, and finally the tactics in an ordered flow. So that's our view on how to build a one-page marketing plan that honours the buyer and their journey. Hope that helps. I hope you enjoyed that. If you haven't done already, can I invite you to subscribe to receive notification of our latest shows. We do them every Thursday afternoon Australian time, and if you want to hear about when we've released new shows, subscribe either at youtube.com/mathmarketing or at mathmarketing.com/blog. Go to either of those locations and you'll get notified as soon as we've posted a new show. Now, rather than the other calls to action I put in shows regularly, clearly this week I'm going to invite you to go and join up for Funnel Plan. Here's the URL, funnelplan.com, with or without the W's. And if you're watching this show before the middle of April 2016, what you'll get there is a list where you can put your name down and we'll notify you when the product's released. If you're watching this after the middle of April 2016, then what you'll find on that page is the ability to get the plan, including the free one. I showed you just now the free and the paid version. Clearly they're different. If all you want to do is get the free one, you're very welcome to use it. Go to funnelplan.com now and get your copy there. That's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. We've got lots lined up for next week. Until then, may your funnel be full and always flowing. Our thanks this week to Tyler Owen for research, Business Wing of the Australian Government for Why Do We Need a Marketing Plan, the Business Wing of the Victorian Government for writing a marketing plan, Dave Levinsky on Forbes for marketing plan template, exactly what to include. Great article, go read that. Business Wing of the Queensland Government, seems like it's a day for governments, on write and implement a marketing plan, and the Stoners Cookbook for a bit of a laugh, Marketing 101, planning for the future of your cannabis brand. Thanks, Annika Dobby, for your amazing production. My name is Hugh McFarlane, and it is my absolute pleasure to have scripted and presented this week's show.